From the heart of Central Florida, you are listening to the most electrifying show in media. A Neighbor's Choice. I'm your host, your neighbor, David Gornoski, happy to be with you once again across Central Florida, our hometown here in the Sunshine Land, and around the world on our growing national audience on podcasts, wherever podcasts are sold, FM and AM, and our platform with Newsmax and Daily Caller, Town Hall, all the great friends that we have. We welcome you all, however you're finding us, ready for another journey through learning and growth. And you know, you can't grow without your elders helping you along the way, growing you, discipling you, shaping you. And one of the essentials to a civilized society is honoring our mothers and fathers. And part of honoring our mothers and fathers is making sure that we treat them with the utmost care, with the utmost sacred attention. Now, of course, that has been the narrative driving our need to lock down the economy from a lot of the folks that say, hey, I don't care if you're from a blue-collar job. I want you to sit at home because I can work remotely with my paper-pushing job, and you're going to stay at home whether you like it or not because, you know, this is for the elderly folks. But at the same time, we're finding out, first of all, they don't tell us proper nutrition, so they're not telling you that the food pyramid is a bunch of quackery, a bunch of nonsense. You need to get away from vegetable oils, get away from high carbohydrates, because those are the key factors for insulin resistance, nutritional deficiency, and inflammation, which are the key overriding factors about whether you're going to have a fatal case with this new pandemic. So they don't tell you that. So their moral high ground is totally dissolved just like that and shown to be a farce. The second thing that the folks that want us locked down forever don't bother to tell you is that, unfortunately, a lot of the states where lockdowns have been most extreme, and the North and so forth, and New England, there's some weird things going on with nursing homes. And so joining me now is One America News reporter, Jack Posobiec, to help us unpack, in particular, what in the blue hell is going on in Pennsylvania nursing homes. How you doing, Jack?
Hey, David, I'm doing well. And really, it's more than just Pennsylvania, but we've seen it in New York, we've seen it in New Jersey, but in Pennsylvania now, we're seeing the depths of what really seems to be a corrupt policy here because of recent admissions by the Secretary of Health.
So let's divulge, what are the admissions that you've uncovered and what you've looked at with this story?
So what we're seeing is that Governor Cuomo of New York, Governor Murphy of New Jersey, and Governor Wolf of Pennsylvania. There's other governors we believe are caught up in this. Whitmer is one that we're taking a look at. But with One America News, we've been investigating these policies that were first reported, I've got to give credit where credit's due, by a team at USA Today, a network of papers that they ran, which essentially called for that when a senior citizen was discharged from a hospital ICU, that instead of keeping them in isolation in, say, a wing of the hospital, which we know is available, they were then brought back to the nursing homes, even if they were still testing positive for COVID-19. Let me break that down and make sure it's very clear for everybody. It was the order of these governors through their health departments that infected patients were put in nursing homes with people who had not been infected.
I can't believe that. So you're saying that what is the logic behind this? That they've got people in ICU and they're going to take them out of isolation in a very, very dangerous state having the infection, and then they had a policy to push them into nursing homes. Did the nursing homes have an option to refuse them, or what was the policy there?
Well, the policy actually came down by saying that it had to do with the rights of the patients themselves. This is what Cuomo said when he was challenged on it. He said he couldn't deny their rights, and that essentially denying them access to the nursing home would have been seen as discrimination if they were denied access based on the value of a positive COVID-19 test. I know that doesn't quite sound like it makes common sense, but discrimination is something that has certainly been written into the laws, and it's something that apparently the governor thought was very important, irregardless of the actual pandemic response. But now what we've seen in Pennsylvania, and this is huge, the Pennsylvania Secretary of Health, Rachel Levin, actually got her own mother out of one of these nursing homes before this policy went into effect, it looks like.
So she knew ahead of time that they were going to. Now, let me specify again. Was this something where the senior would say, I want to go back to the nursing home, or they didn't have a choice in the matter, they had to go back? How did that work? How did the policy work?
Well, individual cases vary, and that's part of our investigation as well as the investigation of others. In some cases, we know that communication was hard between the seniors and between their children or their caretakers, their grandchildren. Obviously, they were not allowed to be physically present in the same space, so communication issues were tough there. But it does seem to be a situation where, and I've spoken to a federal litigator about this, Ron Coleman, who does seem to think that there could be an argument made that these seniors were in the custody of the state while all this is going on.
And so in that case, the state would have the ability to make the decision about where they're going?
That's right, as well as the responsibility.
And did they give the seniors options like, okay, look, you're going to be released from the hospital. Do you want to go to your home? Do you want to go to your kids? Do you want to go to the nursing home? Was that an option presented in these cases, or were they just auto sent to the nursing home?
The order that was put down, and we've got the executive orders or directives, and state by state it varies as the actual channel of the order because each state is set up a little differently, but it's in writing that when they are sent from, they're called transfers or discharges from the hospital, that they are then sent back to the nursing home. So there's no, and we knew, by the way, that because hospitals, of course, had shut down, this is the whole point of flatten the curve, right? The whole point of flatten the curve was to not overwhelm hospitals so that they would be able to treat the surge, the massive upsurge in patients for coronavirus, COVID-19. There's been widespread support for these policies. So the idea that you don't have hospital space to be able to care for people while they're in recovery but potentially still positive, it doesn't make any sense why you'd be sending them back and putting them commingling with people who were not infected. And now what they're trying to say in some of these cases, Pennsylvania is in full-on sort of backpedaling mode, and New York as well, where they're trying to say, oh, well, we're going to test everybody and we're going to make sure that they were kept in separate wards inside the facility. But as we know, of course, this virus is extremely pernicious. It is extremely contagious, and there is no more demographic that is at more at risk to this thing than our senior citizens, 65 older, 75 and older. And so I can't understand, and we're still trying to really get to the bottom of why such a breakdown happened when it should have been the area that was most focused on.
Yeah, because once you're back in the nursing home, you've got shared AC systems and all kinds of shared exposure in the environment.
And we know it's airborne. We know it's airborne, and we know that it is particulate. It is the particulates in the droplets that how this thing is spread.
So you cough in one room, even if you're isolated with the virus, and then it goes in the air vent and goes down the hall to the next person, and they breathe that air in. And that's pretty scary to think. Now, and it's also disturbing to think if this was a good policy, if this was a policy based on non-discrimination, why was the Secretary of Health of Pennsylvania getting their loved one, which is, of course, a great thing to do, but why would they do this ahead of time, knowing the policy was going into place and they didn't want their loved one to be in the nursing home like everybody else's person?
And that's really the smoking gun kind of question here, because that speaks to intent. Obviously, I'm glad that her mother is okay, but we do know that thousands of seniors were killed in these nursing homes. These places became, this is back when the Obamacare bill was first being debated in 2009, 2010, there was this worry about something called death panels, right? Death panels was the worry that was coming up. Well, it seems that this is exactly what we were talking about back then in that debate. The death panels have arrived.
What do you mean by that? The death panels here. What is the motive that you think is going on with this policy? That's pretty.
Well, it seems that in this case that the state medical boards were looking at the policies, the potential avenues that were open to them, and rather than simply open up a wing of the hospital where you've got the empty rooms, you've got areas or possibly other hospitals that are in the area that weren't accepting patients for elective surgeries because, of course, all that was shut down by the governor's order. Instead of setting up fever hospitals, is what they would call, or fever wings, they instead sent them back into areas where people were at greatest risk. So when I talk about this being a decision, I'm quite literally saying it was their decision that caused all of these people to be infected.
Wow. And so the logic may be that, well, let's keep them away from healthier people in the hospital and let's stick them in with people who are more likely to have a fatal case of this virus?
Well, it doesn't seem to make sense either because, again, we know that the hospitals were essentially cleared out for the most part,
right,
with the exception of life-threatening illnesses or life-threatening surgeries and procedures, and gotten rid of all the non-elective surgeries. So the idea was that we flattened the curve so that our hospitals would have more space to take care of people who needed it the most, which is, of course, our seniors. The other question, and I would say line of effort that we are investigating, is whether or not federal funding played a role here. There is a question, we've seen it in some states, that nursing homes in these facilities would receive extra funding from federal services if they established a COVID-19 wing in their nursing homes. Now, all they pretty much had to do was say they had established one, but whether or not it was established and isolated and kept up to standard, the way you would in a hospital, the way you would somewhere else, and how this was managed is really the question right now. We don't think there's really been an ability for the federal government or federal investigators to actually be able to inspect these things on a state-by-state basis. And so the question of a financial incentive really comes into play here.
But and how would that play in with the, like you said, with the Secretary of Health, their perspective? What's in it for them? I mean, you're making a potential case for the money incentive for the nursing home side, but what about with these bureaucrats like the Secretary of Health, who knows that there are policies going into place? They pull out their person out of a nursing home, put them in a hotel room, and then go ahead and send everybody else's into this situation.
Well, right, because it's one set of rules for thee, but not for me.
Wow. I can't even imagine this. I mean, the whole premise of this whole fear-driven narrative is that we all need to be locked down without vitamin D, without exercise, without healthy social interaction, which is key for an immune system, without any evidence or recommendations to eat healthy meats. We're supposed to eat soy and eat sugar and eat carbs. All the newspapers are...
I agree with you about the food pyramid, by the way. I think you're spot on that.
Yeah, I mean, they're just telling us to just sit around and eat ice cream all day and then telling us that they have the concerns of our safety in mind. I think it's absolutely disgusting, and it's heinous to think that how many folks have died because of this policy of sending people infected with coronavirus into the most vulnerable populations in the world. This is a mark on our culture here. This is a slight against our decency.
This absolutely is a cultural failing, and we're seeing it hit not just the United States. There's multiple other countries that are having issues with this thing. But the bottom line is, even with as bad as the information that we got out of China was at the start of this thing, and I've been beating the drum on that since way back in January. I'm a Mandarin linguist. I was translating videos from Wuhan and posting them onto social media here in America. But we knew as far back as January that this thing hit seniors harder. And so there's no question that they would have known that. These governors would have known that by March.
Incredible. And have these policies stopped, by the way? I think New York did, right? What about Pennsylvania?
So New York is putting a stop to it. Pennsylvania is currently in really trying to backpedal. One thing that the governor is saying is that he's trying to do a full sweep test of all the nursing homes, because at this point, the infection has gotten so far ahead of them that they can't even tell who's infected and who is not in these nursing homes. And so he's trying to save themselves through testing. In addition, they're also looking at possible indemnity for some of these nursing homes in, I think, New York, whereas in Pennsylvania, they're actually looking at a criminal investigation to put the entire thing, try to deflect the blame onto the nursing homes themselves when in fact it was the government who enacted this order the first time. I think my libertarian friends will point out once again that another failure of a big government program here.
Yeah, so many warped distortions that create really, really bad outcomes because of government incentives that end up distorting the whole thing. We've got fatality numbers of over 80,000 in America. Is that, I mean, how much of this have you looked into related to what you've studied? What these numbers, are they real? Or I've heard so many conflicting reports, a lot of government officials saying, well, if you, in Texas, one county was saying, anybody who has symptoms similar to corona, we're not even going to test them anymore. If they die, then therefore we call it corona. Other government officials have said in different states that if you die having had coronavirus, even if you die of another disease, we just mark it down as a coronavirus death. Have you looked into that at all with your investigations?
I have, and I would say that I would caution everybody that we are still very much within a fog of war kind of situation on this thing here in mid-May. Different states, different localities, different counties, different coroners are using different statistics and methods to be able to tabulate these numbers. Now, what we do know, at least as far as New York City does have excess all mortality rate, so deaths from any cause that is far and above what it would be for a normal year, even far and above 2001, which of course the events of 9/11. So we do know that there is a much higher excess mortality rate that's going on because of this. But as far as getting that number with specificity, I think it's going to take a little bit more time.
Well, Jack Posobiec of One America News, always a pleasure to hear your stories. Unfortunately, this is not a happy story, and I hope that we can uncover and get to the bottom of why people would be sending seniors into such a dangerous situation and packing people in such a deadly virus. Terrible to hear that.
Absolutely, and here at One America News, we strive to report the truth, regardless of where the facts may lead us.
We'll keep up the good work on your reports, and we'll continue to follow them. I'm David Gornoski.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
You're listening to A Neighbor's Choice. Up next, more to come about the fallout happening politically. Wisconsin Supreme Court had made some news. Let's find out what they had to say when we return.
A lawsuit is a devastating process for families. It can be an emotional roller coaster ride. There is a law firm in Tampa Bay that practices with this in mind. That law firm is Catania & Catania. We know and handle personal injury law for families with care. If it's an auto accident, medical malpractice, nursing home negligence, unsafe working conditions, or motorcycle accidents, the law firm of Catania & Catania will take care of the process worry-free from start to finish. Many victims don't even realize they can claim compensation for their loss until they talk to us. Catania & Catania only represent private individuals. We treat every case as if it's going to trial. Putting families first is more than just a slogan. It's our way of practicing law. It's our commitment to you. Remember, we don't get paid if you don't get paid. So go to CataniaCatania.com, award-winning, over 28 years, and family first. Catania & Catania, personal injury, auto accident, and motorcycle accident attorneys.
Hey, it's Bubba the Love Sponge. With all the coronavirus stuff going on, you've heard the CDC say wash your hands about a zillion times. You know, studies show that the average person touches their face 23 times an hour. Your nose, eyes, and mouth, that's called the T-zone. And the T-zone is the most important area to keep clean. And for over 12 years, there's this product called TheraWorks Protect. It's been used by millions of emergency room patients and medical clinics to support infection prevention. TheraWorks Protect is easy to use, and it's safe to apply several times a day on your hands and around your nose and eyes and mouth, better known again as the T-zone. Just apply a small amount into your hand and rub it in until it dries, and then apply another amount and rub it all over your T-zone. You know, finding hand sanitizer sometimes can be difficult, and now you can order TheraWorks Protect online. Just get it directly from them. Go to TZoneProtect.com and use the Bubba Kicker. When you use the Bubba /, you're going to get 20% off and free freight, and you're going to have it in a few days. Again, TZoneProtect.com /Bubba. Start protecting yourself and the ones that you love now.
Hey Hey guys, Frank here for Center for Men's Health, where the physicians and staff want you to know that C4MH.com is open and is going to remain open throughout this ordeal. C4MH.com continues to disinfect daily with Microban 24. All patients and staff wear masks, and they will provide you with one to keep. C4MH.com now checks your oxygen level, as a low oxygen saturation level is an early symptom of coronavirus. At C4MH.com, it's always been about doing it safely, and now they've stepped it up to the next level. I've been a C4MH.com patient for years, and I know that safety was always their first concern, but I'm amazed at how they responded to this issue. I just learned that C4MH.com has donated 10,000 gloves, dozens of N95 respirators, and hand sanitizers to hospitals. Their donations to hospitals just confirmed that C4MH.com wants frontline health care to be safe as well. C4MH.com, the leaders in low-T care.
So, according to abcnews.com, the Wisconsin Supreme Court ruled against the Democratic governor's stay-at-home order extension on Wednesday, saying the administration exceeded its authority. And it's a 4-3 decision. The conservative-controlled High Court said that Palm, who is the Department of Health Services Secretary designee, Andrea Palm, that she had overstepped her authority in confining all people to their homes, forbidding travel, and closing businesses. So I think this is a good win. People going to the bar or whatever, having a dinner, having a nice time. That's great that they can get out and get some fresh air. And there's, of course, going to be some voluntary social distancing that any adult would know to practice if a new virus arrives. But, this idea that so many people have a knee-jerk desire to control, again, like the Truman Show. I've said this before. The Truman Show, the movie about creating a fake little bubble world, a little fake world in which you can prevent and protect someone from exposure to the dangers of life, the dangers of living. But it's full of just disgusting hypocrisy, because they keep trying to preen with the moral high ground that, well, if you are against coercive-based lockdowns, then that means you're playing gambles with food, with people's safety. But they're the ones playing the gamble because they refuse to tell the truth about the garbage of the food pyramid, the quackery, the pseudoscience wrapped up in the food pyramid. They refuse to tell the truth that eating vegetable oils, which are heavily subsidized with our taxpayer dollars, soybean oil, corn oil, sunflower oil, all those oils that are baked into all the foods that you eat, and processed foods and frozen pizzas and all the things that we have been told to just munch all up, whether you're skinny or in between or obese. All of those foods are bad for the human immune system. They're bad for when it comes to insulin resistance. They're bad for nutrition. And so when you're gaslighted because of deranged political ideology masquerading as news, to hate and detest animal foods and butter and nose to tail keto eating, when that's disparaged all the time in mainstream media reports, and at the best, the mainstream media and government officials would take kind of a agnostic approach. They won't talk about nutrition, how important it is for staying alive during a new virus. They'll say, well, there's a diet for everybody. That's the kind of confusion they leave everybody in. So everybody just says, well, some people say salt's good, some people say it's bad, some people say grapefruit's good, some people say it's bad. There's just malaise of confusion. And I think it's by, unfortunately, it's by the benefit of those who subsidize the nutrition system we have. Single-payer nutrition science has got us all in a situation where, particularly in America, we are vulnerable to new viruses doing a number on our immune system because we're not eating the proper nutrition. If you don't have the building blocks for a proper immune system that is a regulated response, not an out of control cytokine storm, which creates fibrosis in the lungs. If we don't have that, then you're going to have a horrible, horrible health crisis with a massive amount of fatalities. And I don't hear a single person in the mainstream old dinosaur media. I don't see a single person. Where's Dr. Fauci? Dr. Fauci, if you understand about human bodies, why aren't you talking about what creates an immune system? What creates a healthy immune system? Where are you getting your vitamin D? Where are you getting your proper nutrition? Why are we not telling people the truth that the food pyramid is based on nonsense? It's based on deep captured regulatory agencies which are captured by massive big food corporations. Big soy, big corn, big wheat, big sugar, big grains of all types have captured our knowledge and sense-making apparatuses of the state and the media. And that's a disgusting thing. So I've had enough of this preening for the moral high ground that these folks in media do, where they think they have the audacity to lecture people like, you have to submit to me forcibly sending men with guns to arrest people with a bar open or a salon open or a restaurant open, arrest elderly couples walking, mind their own business, arrest all these nonviolent people. And if you don't comply with my tyrannical, crazy, neurotic desire to control everybody like they're my children, like we're their cattle that have to be locked up in the barn when there's a storm coming, even though locking us up in the barn might actually kill more of us if the barn collapses by the storm. They don't care about their unintended consequences. These folks are narcissists with no skin in the game. As we just heard from Jack Posobiec, they got the Pennsylvania Secretary of Health knowing that her policy that she's presiding over in Pennsylvania to send COVID-19 infected seniors into nursing homes is going to happen. So all the people who are most affected by the garbage nutritional pyramid that her government probably greatly pushes in the food, greatly pushes in subsidized food stamps, and greatly pushes in all the different little food programs and nutritional science that they give grants to in their state. They push all that garbage trash, making our elderly sick and immunocompromised, which is not natural. It's not inevitable that you have to live in an immunocompromised state to that degree at that age. But they push people into nursing homes with the virus, and then she has the audacity to not tell people that that's a bad policy. Meanwhile, she gets her own mother, which is a good thing to care about your loved ones. She gets her out of the nursing home and into a hotel, which is great. But why don't you tell everybody else that? How in the world can you not be emotionally, how can you process that? How can you say, well, I'm going to get my family out, but the whole rest of the country, the state, their seniors, their moms, their dads, I don't care. What in the world is going on here? And yet these people are lauded as our saviors? This is sick stuff. This is sociopathic type behavior. How could you do this to people? How could you send other people's parents into harm's way? Because they're in the nursing home and then you're sending people in with this new virus and you don't bother to level with people? Where's the accountability? Voting doesn't work. Getting rid of government power is the only solution. Because everybody else but government bureaucrats and the hack politicians that oversee them, everybody else who would do that would be in prison for a long, long time to force other people's elderly parents to live with infected patients instead of keeping them separated, but take their own out is a disgusting, reprehensible thing that not a single person outside of the magic of government could get away with doing. So the question is, are we going to sit there and put up with this kind of violence, or say, no, you're going to stop this nonsense because we're getting rid of the power that gives you this kind of heinous ability of life and death over people with no accountability, no responsibility, no prison time. If we hurt people to that degree, if we force people intentionally into this harm's way, I don't know for what reason, anybody in the real world outside of the magic of government bureaucracy, we would be totally eviscerated and put away for a long time. We would be bankrupt. But these fools that preen, these narcissistic fools that only have power because of their monopoly on media narratives, they can do these kind of heinous things, and what? Well, the story's not finished yet. They need to be held accountable as much as they can, given their magical little fake bureaucratic spells that they have. I'm a bureaucrat. I'm not responsible for anything I do. I'm going to get my family out, and everybody else's family is going to suffer. And what am I going to do about it? I'm not responsible. What is this nonsense? This childish, pathetic, pitiful excuse for human decency. Look, we're all about positive things on this program, but we got to be able to tell the truth about what's going on in our country. We're not going to stand back and let people that we love and care about all across this country just get railroaded and destroyed and get sick from a garbage medical system, get sick from a garbage nutritional system, get sick from single-payer nutrition advice, and then get shoved into dangerous situations in nursing homes while these so-called elites, these so-called saviors, shriveling in the darkness or taking care of their own and letting us all suffer. Not going to happen. If we can't stand up for that, what are we here for? We're here to help the vulnerable, to help those who are suffering, to help the widow, to help the orphan, to love them and to stand up for them, protect them from aggression and protect them from nonsense and lies, protect them from quackery like the food pyramid. And I'm going to keep saying it till that food pyramid is destroyed completely and left into the ash heap of history. It's already in the process, but we're going to speed it up on this program. You're listening to A Neighbor's Choice. We'll be right back.
A lawsuit is a devastating process for families. It can be an emotional roller coaster ride. There is a law firm in Tampa Bay that practices with this in mind. That law firm is Catania and Catania. We know and handle personal injury law for families with care. If it's an auto accident, medical malpractice, nursing home negligence, unsafe working conditions, or motorcycle accidents, the law firm of Catania and Catania will take care of the process worry-free from start to finish. Many victims don't even realize they can claim compensation for their loss until they talk to us. Catania and Catania only represent private individuals. We treat every case as if it's going to trial. Putting families first is more than just a slogan. It's our way of practicing law. It's our commitment to you. Remember, we don't get paid if you don't get paid. So go to CataniaCatania.com, award-winning, over 28 years, and family first. Catania Catania, personal injury, auto accident, and motorcycle accident attorneys.
Attorney spokeswoman. If you know anything about NFL or about NCAA basketball or football or NHL or whatever, entertainment television, make sure you make a deposit at betdsi.com.
Promo code Bubba100.
Again, make a deposit. They've been getting a lot of great response from the Bubba Army. Make your deposit using promo code Bubba100. It's simple. Go to betdsi.com.
Promo code Bubba100.
Sign up with the Bubba100 code and make that deposit and get your bonus, plus have some fun at the safest wagering site available. Fast, on-time paying their winnings out, incredibly mobile-friendly. And if you haven't already signed up, then go now. Make your deposit at betdsi.com.
Promo code Bubba100.
Bubba100 gets you a special bonus and gets you in the game. Again, www.betdsi.com. DSI.com, and at the promo code portion,
Bubba 100.
Bubba 100. Thank you.
Welcome back to A Neighbor's Choice. I'm David Gornoski, your host. The number to call if you have a comment is 727-587-1040, talking about the awfulness of the nursing home policy that's coming out in different states where people are taking these governors in New York and Pennsylvania and other states, New Jersey apparently, are sending people with infected coronavirus diagnosis into nursing homes where they're going to breathe in and cough into the AC units, which gets circulated to all the people, and there's going to be contact with the people that have to tend to them. Even if they try their best to make it, isolated, it's hard to overcome every variable. Just total disgusting behavior from these narcissists who pretend to have law and order and our care in mind when all they're doing is looking out for number one first, which is themselves and making themselves look good, and trying to do the well as they can from their perspective as long as it's always benefiting them. Typical, pitiful narcissists that you get when politics is ruling our way of doing things. Here's a story in The Sun, the U.S. Sun. Trump death clock showing U.S. coronavirus toll in real time is beamed onto massive Times Square billboard. And you talk about a city that's just owned by constant fear and scapegoating. These people, all they do, it seems like so much of dominant New York City culture is so owned by a pitiful, immature desire to scapegoat a villain, to try to pent up all their anger, their wrath, their fear, their anxiety, their guilt, their shame, pent it all up, build it all up, and then spew it onto the back of somebody. And of course, because they're obsessed with Donald Trump, the president, they spend their every waking hour thinking about this person. They are obsessed in their adoration of them. Remember, the line between adoration and murder is very thin. And that hate, adoration and hate go hand in hand. And that's what these folks in New York City and around these enclaves that have failed miserably to tell the truth about nutrition, to tell the truth about sunlight, to tell the truth about the things that are make for foundational health that has rigorous evidence backing it up, both in the modern sense, in long-term history, and in ancient times. You got to get health. You got to eat healthy meats, and healthy ketosis is a healthy state of being. That's how you get rid of senescent cells. Those are the aging dysfunctional cells. How come nobody says that? How come Dr. Fauci doesn't tell you that? Why doesn't he tell you that? Why is he only looking for patented solutions most of the time? What's going on here? I'm sure he means well, right? But come on. Can't even tell people the truth about their nutrition? Can't tell people the importance of vitamin D for health? Oh, that's not studied. Oh, of course it's not studied the way you'd like it when your convenient little healthcare system, the FDA, precludes vitamin D or any natural thing that can't be patented. You preclude it by de facto standards. Because you can't patent it, you can't afford the $1 billion price tag that the FDA puts on conveniently for the pharmaceutical multinational companies that can afford that price tag with a patented drug that government grants them the patent for. And then they have the audacity to look at the American public, who they treat like little children and gaslight like little, it's abuse. It's just straight up abuse of the highest level these bureaucrats are engaged in, where they're abusing people's trust that they have inculcated and developed because of raising them in government schools and government college and government sycophantic media. They abuse that trust. Tell us what to think. Should we go out? Should we wear a mask? Don't wear a mask. Do wear a mask. Don't wear a mask. Do wear a mask. WHO saying back in January, the virus can't transmit to humans. These people are clowns. They're clowns. I don't care if they're well-intended. Give them that. Give them that for the sake of argument. You're a well-intended clown with disastrous consequences. That's what these bureaucrats are. Can't even tell people the basic truth we've known for thousands of years, that you got to get vitamin D. You can't tell people to hang out and play video games all day and get welfare checks and give up on hope in life. Don't see anybody. Don't go see your loved ones. Can't get married. Can't have a funeral. Can't do anything. What is this disgusting, shriveling desire to control people? These little nasty little trolls. Pathetic. I'm so tired of these bullies. They want to bully people, but they're not going to bully. They're little gnats. They're little gnats on humanity, the way they want to hurt people. And there is nothing wrong with pushing back against this stuff. If you can't give people proper nutrition, you can't give people proper information about how to take care of their bodies, and then all they do is sit around their stupid ivory towers and pay for little, Trump death clock, yeah. I mean, anything the man does. Look, I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm not here to tell you who to vote for. I don't care who you vote for. You think I care about these little voting, competitions? Little popularity competitions? There's way more important things that can be done. All the cures in cancer will not happen through voting. All the cures of all the illnesses that we're bothered by won't happen through voting. All the cures for or solutions for clean energy, all the solutions for transportation revolutions, all the solutions for getting rid of pollution, all the solutions for getting rid of aging issues, all the solutions for all the things that matter, making our houses cheaper to make and more solid and more quality. All those things, not a single thing we care about will come from voting. So I don't care at all who you vote for. But I am so tired, and I know you are too, of a sycophantic press and out-of-touch, arrogant fools hanging in their little ivory towers in New York City trying to scapegoat anybody. I mean, it doesn't matter what the actions someone like Trump did. These people are so blind by mimetic tribalism. Team red bad, team blue good. That's all they think, like pro wrestler fans. That's all these people are. They have this obsession with team blue is good, team red is bad. Team red is good, team blue is bad. That kind of binary, awful way of thinking has done nothing good for us. Nothing good. Meanwhile, people are suffering, people we care about. And we got to care for everybody, including those that spitefully use us, even those that hurt us. We don't want to do revenge. There is no place for vengeance. As nasty and as petty as these little wannabe tyrants are, distracting us with their fear campaigns and self-righteousness, we have to love every one of them. And that's hard, right? It's hard because it's so hard to deal with people who seem to get away with such awful injustices and live in that knowledge that seems like so many villains and mean people get to be trotted out as the heroes, and justice never prevails. That's not what we're here for. We're not here for, we have to get all the outcomes right or else we won't do right. No, we have to do right and let the results be in God's hands. Do right, love your neighbor, forgive your enemy, turn the other cheek when they spitefully use us, but stand your ground and tell the truth, because when we tell the truth that they have failed on nutrition, they failed in their desire to get us blinded with hate, telling us, it's Trump's death toll. Give me a break. That's so pathetic. No matter what that man did, he could have done everything Obama would have done, and because he's Team Red and he's Donald Trump, and they're obsessed with this man, and they love him too much, they'll put the blame on his shoulders. 727-587-1040 is the number to call. We'll open the line, 727-587-1040. A Neighbor's Choice will continue in just a moment.
A lawsuit is a devastating process for families. It can be an emotional roller coaster ride. There is a law firm in Tampa Bay that practices with this in mind. That law firm is Catania and Catania. We know and handle personal injury law for families with care. If it's an auto accident, medical malpractice, nursing home negligence, unsafe working conditions, or motorcycle accidents, the law firm of Catania and Catania will take care of the process worry-free from start to finish. Many victims don't even realize they can claim compensation for their loss until they talk to us. Catania and Catania only represent private individuals. We treat every case as if it's going to trial. Putting families first is more than just a slogan. It's our way of practicing law. It's our commitment to you. Remember, we don't get paid if you don't get paid. So go to CataniaCatania.com, award-winning, over 28 years, and family first. Catania Catania, personal injury, auto accident, and motorcycle accident attorneys.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Lang, board-certified optometric physician and certified nutritional specialist, host of popular talk show Ask the Doctor. I've researched and developed an amazing new omega-3 product that you'll see incredible results with. It's called Fortify Super Omega-3 Max. I had one of the top Norwegian omega-3 research teams in conjunction with myself and Fortify Vitamins aid in the development of this advanced omega-3. This product is the most potent and purest triglyceride form omega-3 in the United States today. Omega-3 is great for all aspects of your health and well-being, especially in this unprecedented, challenging time. I am giving a 25% discount with promo code RADIO during this viral pandemic. Go to my website, fortify.com. That's FORTIFEYE. Remember the EYE in Fortify. That's fortify.com. Enter the promo code RADIO to receive the 25% discount.
Black Rock Grill is open again. Yep, I took the team to Black Rock for our truly special occasion on opening night. It's such a unique experience, unlike anything you've ever tasted. They serve it on that unique 755-degree hot stone. You cook it right there at the table, bathed in that amazing casino butter. Wow, every bite sizzling hot, better than the last. It's an award-winning steakhouse featuring 100% pure Angus beef, the method of cooking the hottest thing in the culinary world. You got to try it. And in these uncertain financial times, very reasonable. A steak dinner with two sides, just $15.99. And they've gone to great expense to make you feel safe. 30-plus sanitation stations, FDA-approved bacteria-erasing foggers, glass dividers between the booths. Nothing is left to chance. And don't forget our friends at Black Rock were there when you needed them, handing out thousands of free meals to our frontline workers and neighbors in need. An amazing commitment to the neighborhood. Black Rock Bar and Grill, 2 locations, Carrollwood and Brandon, for a truly unique dining experience. Go to blackrockrestaurants.com.
Percentage of Americans donating to charity at new low. That's a headline at drudgereport.com. The story is a Gallup's new poll. Meanwhile, the Atlantic is saying that more are turning to socialism. Whoa. I think those things go hand in hand. Those are very, very, very connected, correlated phenomena, because we know that socialists tend to not be so charitable. They have a religious, zealous desire to be cool, to be seen as moral and superior morally to those around them, and they have a desire to use force to get it done. In other words, they have a desire to act like barbarians. They can't handle problems in a civilized manner, saying, okay, I want you to share. No, they say, nope, we will grab power. We will use the power to destroy. You know, that's how they act. And so, of course, they don't give charity voluntarily, you know. Of course, they don't practice what they preach. Their whole thing is implementing their religion, which is, I must use violence And that's the glue that binds it together. If you say, hey, can you just donate all your money you've got voluntarily? No, they'll say, I don't want that. That never really resonates well with them. Because the secret ingredient to the socialist sauce is violence. The secret ingredient to the socialist sauce, that nasty little roux, is the word violence. That's the word they don't want you to focus on. That's their secret ingredient. But that's what drives their love for the ideology. It's half-truth mixed with violence, which destroys the whole truth. The half-truth part is loving your neighbor, taking care of the weak, the suffering, providing care for the neighbor. But as I've demonstrated before, I've demonstrated time and time again that things like FDA-approved generic antibiotics like Z-Pak and doxycycline could potentially be more effective at killing cancer stem cells, which is the root cause of cancer metastasis, than any of the standards of care that is in dominant cancer research propped up by government money and FDA approval process. So if we turn the rest of the keys of healthcare over to government, let's say it's 80% controlled by government mutation of the market, let's just turn over 100% like the little socialists want to do. You can rest assured that no non-toxic metabolic mitochondrial health frameworks, like I'm talking about, antibiotics that take on the mitochondria of cancer cells, and Dr. Thomas Seyfried, the biologist from Boston College I've had on, talks about ketosis being way more effective, therapeutic ketosis that he uses being way more effective scientifically in his research than the standard of care for treating cancer. You can be rest assured that when you have such a paradigm shift that needs to occur, if you try to turn over the last vestiges of freedom of our healthcare to government bureaucrats completely, who are motivated by greed oftentimes and motivated by a blindness for the status quo, even if they are motivated by the most Mother Teresa instincts. I'm sure 90% of them are all Mother Teresas in bureaucracy, just public servants. Nice lucrative pensions, but that's just a little distract. Oh, how'd that happen? But they're just good little Mother Teresas. But you can rest assured that because of bureaucratic blindness, because of monopoly, because of the madness of crowds, the psychology of groupthink that takes place when you have a bureaucracy like government running medicine in a monopoly way, you can rest assured that cheap, non-toxic, readily available solutions that use metabolic or mitochondrial pathways for cancer and other awful diseases will not be heard, will not be allowed to the public, because bureaucracy will keep it held back. When bureaucracies hear Galileos like Dr. Thomas Seyfried say, hey, look, here's a non-toxic thing. You don't need to patent it like the drugs that Fauci and those guys want to do. They're all patents, all obscene profit margins. Very little concern for things that are off patent or natural, generic drugs. Don't talk about that. But when someone steps in like a Galileo, like a Dr. Seyfried or a Dr. Lasanti and says, here's a way to do it, but you're going to have to be humbled to the fact that your whole model of a treatment was not the right approach. We have to go back to mitochondrial health, not genetic focus. That's so much humble pie. That's so much humility. And it's so much disruption for the status quo of all the institutional little hands that have got their hands in the pie of cancer. Can you imagine that? Just really grates my nerves to think about that. But they're all Mother Teresas. That's all they are. Mother Teresas. But they're blind, right? Incompetent, or maybe they're talented, but blinded by groupthink. I mean, I don't know. How are we supposed to be nice when they're getting such disastrous results? War on cancer happened in 1960. It was declared by Nixon. Disaster. Disaster. And yet we're told, just sit along for the ride. Same folks that declared war on cancer 60 years ago, they'll take out this virus in no time, right? And come on, roll in your eyes. The only thing that works is if you allow space for Galileos. If you allow space for the kind of voices that by their nature are not heard by established bureaucracies. By their nature are not sitting at the tops of the ivory towers of the elite universities or the elite bureaucracies. By their nature are not on the peer-reviewed journal Good Old Boy Network. That's where America flourishes, is when you allow those folks to have their voices heard. When you allow that free discourse and that free pursuit of knowledge without warping it with economic incentives that chase old, failed quackery, masquerading as science. Old, failed quackery, totally politicized by bureaucracies and their allied cronies. When you allow that to get in the way of progress, and then you want to cement it by making government 100% control of your health care, say goodbye to any hope of having cures for these awful diseases, both the chronic ones and the new ones that arrive. That kind of way of doing things has no place for the future. The only hope is that when we allow nonviolence to be the environment, that means bureaucracies use force. They use the initiation of force. The opposite of that is nonviolence, and the world of voluntary freedom. That's you and I. We have to find those Galileos, give them the resources, give them the attention, give them the momentum they need to find the solutions that can send these awful maladies into the ash heap of history. We have a window of freedom still within us, and I think that window is going to get bigger and bigger in terms of freedom. You just let just a little sliver and it'll blossom. Just let a little crack in the walls of cement, and that little shoot, that little green shoot of freedom will blossom out, germinate, and populate a whole new creation of problem solving. I'm David Gornoski. Godspeed.